Today we're going to be taking out the seats in the 1954 Panama, hopefully to get them reupholstered soon, whenever the material gets here from SMS. First step for taking out the front seat, you gotta take off these covers here on the side. There is typically going to be a little knob here. Mine's missing, so if it was here, you have to pop that off real fast. There is a screw in the back, two in the front. Take those out, and this thing will pop off. These two bolts on either side of the seat, these are 1/2 inch. So take out these nuts here, and then we can lift the seat up and out. And then this one here, just open the door, there's one screw at the top. There we go. Perfect. All right, for the bottom seat, that's the next one to come out. We should just be able to lift up underneath here, and then it comes forward. There we go. A little tight here. Awesome. All right, so we put some tape up here because the frame on this is gonna rub up against it. We don't wanna ruin that. So lift it up and then kind of come forward. There we go. So you can see where it hooks. You got two hooks up here on the top. That's where it holds there. Down here on the bottom, you can see these little tabs. Those go through the loops on the bottom of it, and then they get bent over, and that's what holds it in place. So if you're gonna take the seats out, just leave these unbent. You don't really need to put them back again. pops out. You have to take off this here first. This isn't fitting quite so well, so I have to work on that. There we go. Alright, so to get the steering wheel off, take the emblem, push it in, twist to the left until it stops, and it comes off. We have 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3 right here, and these need to be removed. This will take off the horn ring. And there's a spring behind it, so it'll push it out. There we go. Now, this little thing right here is the wire that controls the sound for the horn. So that gets unplugged down in the engine bay, and then you can take this whole thing out. Alright, so if you look down here at the bottom of the steering column, right here, there's a wire that comes out. This is the wire that goes up to the steering wheel itself. Connector right here. So you just unplug the connector. Let's get this light situated. There we go. And then on this, you can tie on some twine or some string. Use floss as well. That way when you pull this up and through, you've got string ready to go. Now if for some reason the string falls out, there are ways to get it back, to kind of fish something through, but it's easier if you can do this. So I'm just going to slap some tape on there real fast. See if we can get this thing to stay. Yeah, there we go. Pull it out from the front. So it should just slide all the way out. There you go. There's your string. Alright, so we'll get this thing off here. There we go. Slide that off, slide that off. Now we are ready for the puller. Alright, so we got the steering wheel puller set now, and we should be able to just crank this down and it should start pulling that wheel right off. Now you should note also you want your wheels pointing straight ahead. Mine are. My steering wheel's always been kind of set off to the side. I'm not too worried about that. Everything here is going to get repainted, so I'm not going to end up marking anything. I'm just going to have to readjust the wheel once I get everything back. So I'll kind of crank this down here and you can see it starting to pull the wheel off the splines. There you go. That's it. Alright, so pop off this little boot here now for the gear shift. There we go. Back in park. Okay. So we got a little cotter pin down here. We need to take that out. And then we can take that bolt out and then this lever will come off. There you go. All right, and then for this one here, turn signal, this just unscrews. I've had it off before, so I left it a little on the loose side. There you go. Overview, I won't be able to see it up here, but there is a speedometer cable, hooks right into the back of the Speedo. Unscrew it, pull it out. Okay, that's it right there. And from the front here, we'll go ahead and take out the 2 screws. If you've never had the gauge cluster out before, there are 2 nuts on the back, on the bottom, that need to be undone for the first time. They're terrible. Once you get those nuts off, never put them back on. So that's all that we need for that. We'll go ahead and just kind of pop this thing out here. go. I like to put a rag down so I'm not damaging the paint. This is all going to get repainted anyway, so it's not the end of the world, but still. There are 2 studs down here on the bottom that you need to lift up and out. I'll slide this rag up underneath to protect. There you go. Now that this is out, you can go ahead and take out all the bulbs. I have mine already labeled since I've had this out before. I recommend doing that. But these all just pop out. So get each one of these out of the way, and then we'll have to go through and take off all of the wires. Good idea to get plenty of pictures before you do that, so that way you can make sure the wires go back in the right place. All right, so we got the gauge cluster out here now. Can leave everything else on here. These posts had quite a few wires connected to them, so what we ended up doing here was you just zip tie the ones together that go on the same post. So it's gonna be a lot easier next time to put them all back together again. Now that we have that out of the way, we can start working on all these other instruments here. These all need to come off as well. All right, so we have the cigarette lighter. You can kind of see it right back there. There's a little set screw, so we'll undo that. And then that should just pop out to the front. All right, so you just unscrew that connector on the back of the cigarette lighter, and that's out. We're ready to go. We're going to label that wire there. We'll have to re-insulate it when we're all done. All right, so on the headlight switch and most of these other ones, there's a little set screw right here that you need to loosen up. And then you can pop that right off. Once that's off, you can see right here, there's little knobs. This one's already loose since I had it off before, but you just unscrew that, bezel's off, and then we are ready to put it back in. Don't forget that we have a little lock washer right here that goes over the top of that. All right, so we're taking off the other ones here now. This one is the power antenna control. We're gonna have to use a screwdriver on that. All right, got that bezel off there too. And this one has a spacer behind it to fit the contours, so take that off as well. This last one here is the control for the rear speaker. All right, so we're gonna take out the glove box here now. 4 screws, all flatheads, at least in this case. These may or may not be original. Same thing with that one. All right, so get this out here. Now typically, this little thing down here is gonna hit against the bottom here and it'll keep it from coming out. I purposely bent mine back so that way I can get this in and out a little bit easier. All right, so we'll take the radio faceplate off next in order to get the radio out. So set screws, go ahead and take those off. And then once that's off, you just pull that off. And there's a little washer underneath, so make sure that you hang on to that. I don't want to lose it. And we'll go ahead and pull off this little knob here too. There we go. Okay. And then we gotta undo this little nut. And the faceplate will come off there. All right, so underneath the radio, on this model, there's a center courtesy light. Other models have them on the sides, not in the center. So take that out. Got to get this kind of out of the way. I'm gonna take out the bulb just so I don't break it. And we'll go ahead and take out this main bracket for the radio. All right, radio's out. That's always an absolute blast. Now, this little wire right here, we're gonna unplug here, and we're gonna unplug this right there. And we should be able to get these things to weasel on out. All right, so I'm gonna take out the heater control panel here. So right over here, there's a fan switch. So just a little set screw on that, and then that can get pushed back inside. And to take off these little knobs, again, a set screw. This is a larger size than the other ones that we've been doing. All right, so to get the faceplate off here and separate the heater controls and the air controls, there is on both sides a screw here and one here, one up here, one down here. All right, for the faceplate, there's a little screw on either side here, right in the center, that we need to get out. All right, so to get to the bottom bolt for the dash, we gotta take off little kick panels here on both sides. That's the bolt that I'm talking about right here. Turn the light on that. So that needs to come off too. And that little welting that's underneath it, we're gonna keep that. That's for sound insulation to prevent squeaking. These bolts here, side ones are 1/2 inch. Take out the upper ones here. These are 3/8 all the way across. Got a whole bunch of them to do. And there we go. All right, so it looks like steering column shroud needs to get undone here, or at least the bracket for it. So we're gonna take that out. These are great. All right, so to get the dash out, we need to get the steering column shroud out of there first. There is one nut down here that's kind of stuck, and it's keeping us from getting the dash all the way out. So to do that, you need to get this little ring out of here first. This is around the steering column. Take that little spring off. There you go. So keep that with the spring. And then in the engine bay, we need to disconnect this right here, this little lever that needs to come off. And then we also need to loosen up this, this bracket. And then at that point, we should be able to slide this, this whole assembly up and out. Other things I should mention, you need to make sure that you disconnect the wires right here that go to the turn signal, and goes right up underneath there. And also, you need to disconnect the control wire that goes here to the vacuum motor. So unscrew that, pop that up. That's ready to go. There is a rubber grommet that passes through the firewall. It needs to be unscrewed. Mine was missing the screws already, so that made it easy for me. All right, so one other thing that we need to do here, now that I've disconnected the shift linkage completely, is we need to get this toe plate, you can see kind of the outline here, disconnected completely. Now, this car originally had the hydraulic brakes, or the vacuum assisted brakes. That is not here anymore. So the guy before me had taken those out and he'd replaced them with a dual cylinder manual setup, which is okay, it's not amazing. So in most cars, it'll have the master cylinder mounted to this, which means that things need to be disconnected there for that. But I don't have to worry about that. But the rest of this is going to be very similar. So we need to take off the gas pedal, disconnect it here. We need to get this carpet out of the way. So that just pops off, and it's just a little ball that goes right there. Pull that little pull this pin out. Okay, that takes out the gas pedal. There's that. We'll take off a little grommet there as well. And we'll pull the carpet out of the way. And there we go. All right, so now we can see the toe plate pretty easily. So I'll get this thing undone. Up inside of there pretty easily, so we should just be able to pull this whole thing out now and get it out of the way. All right, one other problem I ran into is had a reverse position switch here, or reverse light switch that was still connected. That was holding me up. So there we go. That was fun. It'll be fun to get back in there too. All right, got that center bolt out. It was totally seized. So bolt ended up stripping, ended up drilling it out, and that was fine. So I'm gonna replace that with a new one, and let's see if that was everything. Let's see. Hopefully we got everything out. There we go. And there it is. The dash is finally out. And with that out of the way, I can get in here and clean up a lot of this stuff. I'm going to save these old chalk marks. I love that. Got a lot of work to do here while I get all this interior trim cleaned up and repainted.